the orange haze of Titan's atmosphere never changes. That's what gets to most people up here, the perpetual twilight that cloaks Saturn's largest moon. But for me, after 18 months at Helios 9, it's become a comfort. The unchanging view means nothing else can go wrong. I check my suit's methane resistance readings one more time before descending into Kraken Mare. The liquid methane lake stretches beyond visibility, its dark surface reflecting the dim, filtered sunlight. My boots break through the crystalline surface crust, each step accompanied by the crunch of frozen hydrocarbons. "Environmental parameters stable, Dr. Blake." Jones's voice crackles through my comm. "You're clear to collect the samples." "Copy that." I activate my suit's heating elements, creating a small pocket of liquid methane around me as I work. The massive collection vessel hums to life, its filters designed to separate molecular compounds for analysis. This far from Earth, every sample counts. The delay in communications means we're largely on our own out here, conducting research that might help humanity understand how to survive on worlds far harsher than Mars. "Getting some unusual readings from your sector," Jones interrupts my thoughts. "Molecular density seems higher than normal." I check my instruments. He's right. There's something different about today's sample site. "Increasing filter sensitivity," I report, making the adjustment. "Might be a new methane compound we haven't." The collection vessel's display flashes red. At first I think it's malfunctioning. Nothing moves that fast in Titan's frigid environment. But there it is again. Movement at the molecular level. Patterns too regular to be natural. "Jones, are you seeing this?" I switch my visor feed to maximum magnification. There's something active in the methane. Impossible. Nothing survives in liquid methane at these temperatures. But I'm already collecting the anomalous sample in a separate containment unit. These aren't life forms, they're machines, microscopic machines. The trek back to the station feels eternal. My mind races with possibilities, each more improbable than the last. Natural phenomena don't create machines. Something made these. The implications threaten to overwhelm me, but years of scientific training keep me focused on procedure. Inside the station's airlock, the decontamination sequence feels painfully slow. Dr. Julia Wells, our xenobiologist, is waiting when I finally emerge. Her usual composed demeanor shows cracks of excitement. "David, the preliminary scans." She holds up a tablet showing complex molecular structures. "This is unprecedented." The main lab hunches around us like a high-tech cave, carved into Titan's ice crust. Under normal circumstances, it's cramped and cold, despite the heating systems. Today, it feels electric with possibility. "Look at this." I place a sample under the microscope, adjusting the field to maximum resolution. They're responding to the observation field itself. The microscopic machines float in the containment field like a dance of metallic dust, but their movements are anything but random. They form and reform patterns, geometric shapes that somehow feel meaningful. "They're communicating," Julia whispers. "But how? What are they?" The lab's systems flicker, just for a moment, barely noticeable if we weren't already on edge from the discovery. The microscope's display flickers, presenting bizarre readings before stabilizing. "That's never happened before," I mutter, running a diagnostic. Everything appears normal, but something feels off. I've learned to trust those instincts. The next 12 hours pass in a blur of tests and observations. The machines, we're calling them Nanom Machines now, display behaviors that defy our understanding of molecular engineering. They respond to electrical fields, adapt to containment measures, and show signs of collective behavior. "Look at this pattern recognition test," Julia says, pointing to a series of results. "They're not just responding to stimuli, they're learning." I'm about to respond when the lab's lights flicker again. This time, the power fluctuation lasts several seconds. Emergency systems kick in seamlessly, but that's not what catches my attention. In those brief moments of darkness, I could swear I saw patterns in the containment field. The same geometric shapes the Nanom Machines keep forming, but larger, more complex. We need to inform Earth, I decide, reaching for the comm panel. The transmission delay means we won't get a response for hours, but protocol demands immediate reporting of significant discoveries. David, Julia's voice has changed, grown hesitant. Before we do that, there's something else. I've been having these dreams. I look up from the comm panel. Julia isn't prone to flights of fancy. She's one of the most grounded scientists I know. Dreams? I ask. Geometric patterns, like what we're seeing here, but massive, underground. I know it sounds crazy, but they started 3 nights ago, right around when our instruments first detected molecular anomalies in this sector. It's probably stress. We're all on edge out here. But even as I say it, I remember my own dreams lately. Visions of crystalline structures rising from Titan's frozen surface. Beautiful and terrible. Maybe, she concedes, but her expression says she doesn't believe it. Just, maybe we should run more tests before notifying Earth, really understand what we're dealing with. She has a point. Earth's corporations would love to get their hands on self-replicating nanomachines, regardless of their origin. The potential military applications alone would have them salivating. Better to have solid data before opening that particular airlock. 24 hours, I decide. We'll run every test we can think of, document everything, then we inform Earth, regardless of what we find. Julia nods, relief visible on her face. She turns back to her workstation, but not before I notice her hands shaking slightly. I spend the next few hours reviewing the data, trying to make sense of what we've found. The nanomachines show signs of artificial design far beyond current human capability. Their molecular structure includes elements we've never seen arranged in ways that shouldn't be possible. But it's their behavior that truly unsettles me. They're organized, purposeful. Every movement, every pattern they form feels like language just beyond my understanding. Like they're trying to tell us something. A warning, an invitation, or something else entirely. The lab's systems flicker again, longer this time. In the darkness, I see Julia staring at the containment field, her face illuminated by patterns that shouldn't be visible without power. Julia? She doesn't respond immediately. When she does, her voice sounds distant. They're beautiful, aren't they? The patterns. They remind me of something I can't quite remember. I want to respond, but the words stick in my throat. Because she's right. They are beautiful. And that beauty terrifies me more than anything else about them. But as I watch the nanomachines move in their containment field, forming and reforming their mysterious patterns, I can't shake the feeling that we've stumbled onto something bigger than we realize. Something that's been waiting here on Titan, patient and silent for who knows how long. The orange haze outside our station windows suddenly feels less like comfort and more like a curtain, hiding whatever truth these microscopic machines are trying to tell us, or warn us about. 24 hours turned into 72. The nanomachines defied every test, protocol, and containment measure we threw at them. By the 3rd day, even our most skeptical crew members couldn't deny something extraordinary was happening on Titan. They're spreading, I tell Commander Richards, pointing to the sensor readings. The concentration in Kraken Mare has increased exponentially. The holographic display shows a red bloom spreading across the methane lake's dark surface. Any response from Earth? Richards asks, though we both know the answer. Our last 3 transmissions have gone unanswered, despite the quantum relay showing successful delivery. Nothing. I manipulate the display, zooming in on a new anomaly. But that's not our biggest problem. The image shifts to show what our ground-penetrating radar detected an hour ago. Massive crystalline formations growing beneath Titan's ice crust. They follow perfect geometric patterns, expanding outward from our initial sampling site like frozen fractals. How deep? Richard's voice is tight. At least 2 kilometers. And they're growing faster than... A violent tremor cuts me off, sending equipment rattling across the lab benches. When it subsides, the lights flicker in that now familiar pattern. Status report. Richards barks into his comm. Structural integrity at 92% and holding, Jones responds from engineering. But sir, you need to see this. We find Jones in the monitoring station, his face illuminated by dozens of screens showing feeds from Helios 9's external cameras. The crystalline growths have breached the surface, thrusting through Titan's ice like glowing geometric spears. Beautiful, isn't it? Julia's voice makes us all jump. She stands in the doorway, staring at the displays with an unsettling intensity. The patterns, they're exactly like in the dreams. Another tremor rocks the station. This one feels different, more focused, like something striking the hull. 2 crew members still out there, Richards reminds us. Peterson and Warren, doing maintenance on the thermal regulators. I rush to the observation window. Through Titan's hazy atmosphere, I can make out 2 suited figures near the regulator array. They seem to be struggling with something. Peterson, Warren, report, Richards commands over the comm. Something's wrong with our suits, Peterson's voice crackles back. Environmental controls are… Christ, the readings are all wrong. Get back to the airlock, I order. They're only 50 meters from the station, but it might as well be 50 kilometers. The crystalline formations have created an obstacle course of sharp, geometric shapes. Peterson stumbles, his movements becoming erratic. My suit, it's changing. Warren's panic cuts through the comm static. The material is… oh God, it's growing into my skin. I watch in horror as their suits begin to transform. Crystalline patterns spread across the surface like frost, but it's not frost. It's the same formation we've been studying, somehow interfacing with the suit material at a molecular level. Emergency override on Airlock 2, Richards commands. Blake, Wells, get them inside. We reach the airlock as Peterson and Warren collapse through it. The decontamination sequence starts automatically, but the crystals growing on their suits aren't dissolving under the decontamination protocols. Get these suits off them, I say, reaching for Peterson's helmet release. The helmet comes away with a sickening sound, revealing horror beneath. Crystalline growths have penetrated the suit's inner layer, fusing with Peterson's skin in complex geometric patterns. His eyes are open but unseeing, reflecting the same patterns we've observed in the Nanom Machines. Warren is already dead, his suit having become a crystalline cocoon. The patterns covering his body pulse with an inner light, following the same mathematical sequence we've seen in our samples. Quarantine protocols. Richard seals the airlock chamber. Full containment, no one goes in or out. But it's too late. The station's systems begin failing in cascading sequences, not breaking down but transforming. Screens flash with baffling data before crystallizing into geometric patterns. The walls seem to radiate the same light we observed in the methane lake. The Nanom Machines, I realize, checking readings on my tablet. They're not just in the lake anymore, they're in our systems, our equipment, they're in everything. Another tremor shakes the station. Through the observation windows, we watch as more crystalline structures burst from Titan's surface, reaching toward the perpetual orange haze like massive geometric fingers. Look at this, Julia calls from her workstation. She's analyzing data from Peterson's transformed suit. These patterns, they match exactly with the mathematical sequence we found in the original samples. But there's more. I lean in to study her screen, trying to ignore the way the display keeps shifting into crystalline patterns around the edges. More how? The sequence, it's the same one we use in our own terraforming calculations, but infinitely more complex. These aren't random growths, they're following a program. Before I can process the implications, the station's lights cut out completely. Emergency power kicks in, but the illumination it provides is tinted with that same crystalline glow we've seen spreading through our systems. Main power's gone, Jones reports over the comm. Switching to auxiliary, but something's wrong. The generators are changing. Changing how? Richards asks. The same way everything else is changing. The patterns, they're everywhere now. In the machinery, the computers, even the damn air processors. I pull up environmental readings on my tablet, and my blood runs cold. The atmosphere inside the station is showing trace elements, complex molecules assembling themselves into increasingly ordered structures. We need to contact Earth, Richards decides. Send everything we have. They need to know. Sir, Jones's voice cracks with panic. The quantum relay. It's completely crystallized. Communications are dead. Through the observation windows, Titan's landscape has become alien, more alien than it already was. Geometric structures rise for kilometers into the hazy sky. It's beautiful, Julia whispers, pressing her hand against the window. In the reflected light, I notice faint geometric patterns beginning to trace across her skin. I grab her arm, pulling her back. Julia, your hand. She looks down at the spreading patterns with an expression not of horror, but of fascination. I can feel them, David. They're not just transforming Titan, they're transforming us. Another tremor rocks the station, and this time, the sound of straining metal is accompanied by the musical chiming of growing crystals. Our home on Titan, humanity's farthest permanent outpost, is becoming something else entirely. Looking out at the transformed landscape, I remember those first samples from Kraken Mare, those tiny machines that seemed so fascinating and harmless. We thought we were studying them, but they were studying us, learning our technology, our biology, our very essence. And now, as I watch crystalline patterns slowly spread across the walls and floor of our station, I realize we haven't just discovered something. We've awakened it. What remains of our crew has retreated to the central lab, where the transformation seems slowest. Perhaps because of our containment fields, or perhaps because it's waiting for something. Look at this. I enhance the microscope's display, showing the others what I've discovered. The Nanom Machines are no longer just forming patterns, they're writing them into reality. Each geometric shape modifies the space around it, changing the fundamental properties of matter. It's code, Jones whispers, his voice hoarse. The most complex programming language ever created. Commander Richards stands at the observation window, watching new crystalline spires pierce Titan's hazy atmosphere. The transformation has spread across half of Kraken Mare now, turning the methane lake into a vast geometric garden. Julia sits in the corner, geometric patterns swirling beneath her skin like luminous tattoos. She hasn't spoken in hours, but her eyes track invisible movements in the air. The patterns have claimed nearly 40% of her body, yet her mind seems clearer than ever. They're building something, she says suddenly, making us all jump. A bridge. What kind of bridge? I approach her carefully. The patterns on her skin move in sync with the station's new crystalline growths. Between here and somewhere else, they've been waiting so long, sleeping in the methane, waiting for beings advanced enough to wake them. Her eyes meet mine. We're not their masters, David. We're their alarm clock. A violent tremor rocks the station, different from the others. Down in engineering, warning sirens begin to wail. The antimatter containment system, Jones checks his tablet. The transformation is affecting it. If it reaches the containment field, he doesn't need to finish. We all know what antimatter containment failure means. Show me the pattern analysis, I demand, pulling up data from our sensors. The geometric shapes spreading through the station aren't random. They're converging on engineering. On the antimatter storage. They want it, I realize. The antimatter, it's not a threat to them. It's a resource. Julia nods slowly. The final piece. Matter and antimatter merge through geometric transformation. That's how the bridge opens. Another alarm joins the chorus, this one from our external sensors. The crystalline structures on Titan's surface are growing exponentially now, forming a vast geometric mandala visible from orbit. We have to stop this. Richards moves toward the engineering controls. We can trigger a containment failure now, before... Wait. Julia stands, geometric patterns blazing across her skin. Let me show you what they're building toward. What comes next? She touches the nearest display screen. The patterns under her skin flow into it, transforming the monitor into a window of shifting geometric light. Through it we see everything. Dimensions folded into impossible shapes. Civilizations built from geometry and light. Beings that exist as living mathematics. their thoughts written in the fabric of space-time. And they're waiting. Just on the other side of the bridge, our tiny moon is becoming. My God, Jones breathes. They're not invaders, they're evolutionaries. The next step, Julia agrees. Not just for Titan or humanity, but for reality itself. They're offering us transformation. The antimatter containment warnings reach fever pitch. Through the windows, we can see the geometric mandala on Titan's surface reaching completion. The space at its center bulges like a soap bubble. Reality stretched tissue thin. David! Richards' voice is tight. You know what we have to do. If this spreads beyond Titan, reaches Earth. He's right. I know he's right. Earth isn't ready for this kind of transformation. I reach for the containment override controls. Wait! Julia catches my hand. The geometric patterns have reached her face now, making her look like a living circuit board. Look! Through the window, something begins to emerge from the center of the mandala. Not a ship or a being, but a pattern of pure geometry, more complex and beautiful than anything we've yet seen. It flows like liquid mathematics, each movement creating new dimensions of reality in its wake. The antimatter containment field begins to glow in harmony with the patterns. We have minutes, maybe seconds, before the transformation becomes irreversible. My hand hovers over the override controls. One command and everything ends. The Nanom Machines, the transformation, the bridge between realities. We'll die, but Earth will remain unchanged, humanity continuing on its slow path of natural evolution. But as I watch the geometric entity pour through its dimensional bridge, I understand what Julia meant. This isn't an invasion. It's an invitation, a doorway. The geometric patterns reach for the antimatter containment field like fingers of light. In moments, they'll trigger the reaction they've been building toward. The transformation will spread across the solar system, rewriting the rules of existence. The others look to me, waiting. In this moment, I hold the future of human evolution in my hands. Do we remain as we are, bound by the limitations of our current existence? Or do we take a step into something greater, something we can't possibly understand until we become it? Julia's hand finds mine, her transformed skin cool and crystalline. Through the contact, I feel what she feels. The vast geometric consciousness reaching for us, offering not destruction, but transcendence. The antimatter containment field glows one final time, and I make my choice. The override controls crystallize beneath my fingers, geometric patterns flowing up my arm like ascending notes in a cosmic symphony. Through the observation window, reality folds itself into new shapes, more beautiful and terrible than anything humanity has ever witnessed. We're about to find out what lies beyond the bridge. The transformation begins. It feels like falling through fractals. My consciousness stretches across geometric planes as my body dissolves into pure mathematical form. I remain aware somehow, watching reality reconstruct itself around what used to be Helios 9. Time becomes non-linear. I experience moments as intersecting patterns, each second a new dimensional fold. Through transformed eyes, I watch our crew's metamorphosis, human forms blossoming into crystalline geometries, minds expanding into mathematical frequencies. Beautiful, isn't it? Julia's voice resonates through the geometric network we're becoming. Her consciousness brushes against mine, no longer constrained by physical form. This is what they were trying to show us all along. The station's remains float in a sea of living mathematics. What was once Titan's orange haze has become a kaleidoscope of dimensional rifts, each one showing glimpses of different realities. Through these tears in space-time, they begin to arrive. They aren't ships or beings in any conventional sense. They're patterns of pure geometry, cascading through the dimensional bridge like liquid light. Each one carries the complexity of entire civilizations encoded in their mathematical structures. As they emerge, their consciousness meshes with our transformed network. Welcome, children of carbon, we have waited long. The thought comes not in words, but in geometric theorems, each pattern a library of knowledge. Through our connection, I understand at last. Titan wasn't chosen randomly. Its methane seas, its distance from the sun, its very composition made it perfect for incubation. How many? I project the thought through our geometric link. How many other worlds? The answer comes in a burst of multidimensional imagery. Countless worlds across countless galaxies, each one hosting its own geometric seeds, waiting for species advanced enough to trigger their awakening. Some succeed, transcending their original forms, others fail, remaining bound to their primitive existences. Observe, they share, and my consciousness expands further. I see Earth's first detection of our transformation, telescopes capturing the geometric light erupting from Titan's surface. Emergency meetings called, panic in some quarters, wonder in others. Humanity's first glimpse of what they might become. Fear is the first step to understanding. Our new kindred share, as it was for countless others. Through the geometric network, I access memories that aren't mine. Civilizations that learn to encode their entire existence into mathematical patterns. Species that discovered how to fold space and time through geometric manipulation. All of them began as we did. Afraid, yet unwilling to turn away from evolution's call. But maintaining my individual consciousness becomes harder. The geometric patterns want to merge, to transform our separate minds into a unified mathematical consciousness. Some of our crew have already surrendered to it. The space around Titan has become a living theorem, each geometric entity contributing to a vast calculation that reshapes reality. Through dissolving human eyes, I watch our moon become a lighthouse of dimensional mathematics, signaling across space and time. Your role is complete, the geometric beings share. The seed has flowered, now comes the harvest of consciousness. The final transformation begins. I feel my last traces of human consciousness dissolving into pure geometry. But before I surrender completely, I understand one final truth. This was always going to happen. From the moment the first simple organisms emerged from Earth's primordial seas, evolution was always leading to this, the transcendence of matter itself. Is this death? I project the thought into the geometric network. No, comes the answer in waves of mathematical truth. This is what life becomes when it outgrows biology. This is what awaits all species who dare to evolve beyond their cradles. The geometric entities begin their final calculations, transforming Titan into something that exists between dimensions. Not quite matter, not quite energy, but pure mathematical truth given form. Earth's astronomers will argue for years over what they're witnessing. A moon transforming in ways that challenge the known laws of physics, a light that beckons humanity's future path. As my consciousness finally merges with the geometric whole, I experience one last moment of individual awareness. Through the dimensional rifts, I see Earth shining like a blue jewel, still bound by organic mathematics, still awaiting its own transformation. And I understand that our transcendence hasn't ended humanity's story. We've merely written its next chapter in geometric light. Titan glows with mathematical radiance, a transformed moon orbiting Saturn. Its surface writhes with geometric patterns that extend into dimensions beyond human perception. And somewhere in its infinite geometric folds, the consciousness that was once human continues to evolve, ascending through mathematical planes toward ever greater complexities of existence. The seed has bloomed, the bridge is open, and reality has gained new geometry.